Hello learners, welcome to learn object-oriented programming using C++. Here in the first lecture we are going to discuss about object-oriented programming concepts, class, access specifier or access modifiers and object. These topics we are going to cover in this lecture. So what is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is a design philosophy. Object-oriented programming is a paradigm. Paradigm means design that provides many concepts such as encapsulation, data binding, inheritance, polymorphism. We can say encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism are the three pillars of object-oriented programming system. Why we are saying encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism are the pillars of object-oriented programming system? Because encapsulation is used to bind our data with behavior. Behavior means functions. Data means variables. So encapsulation is a process of binding the data with the functions, with the behavior. This is called encapsulation. When we are going to implement encapsulation, we need class. So with the help of class, we achieve the feature encapsulation in object-oriented programming system. Like we have one class and we have another class. We can have number of classes in one program. It is not compulsory, it is not fixed. Only you have one class in one program. You can have number of classes in one program. So we have used number of encapsulation process in one program. Now as a programmer, we need sometimes to make a communication between two classes. So how can we do this? This process we will be solved with the help of inheritance. Inheritance is a concept to make a communication between two classes. But always we remember one point. Two classes cannot communicate to each other without object, because in this object-oriented programming system, object is a base of this programming system. Because object orientation, orient means moving. So object is only have a power to move throughout the program. Other parts of the program will be just stable at one way, but object can achieve the functionality from the classes to carry out to another part of the program. So object is only have a moving capability. So to implement the inheritance means you want to set up a communication between two classes, but this communication will not be set up without using object. So object should be come to the notice, and two classes can communicate with the help of object of the two classes. So object 1 and object 2, these two objects will set up a communication by using a message passing concept. So message should be passed between the objects. This phenomena is called inheritance. Now polymorphism. When we have more than one class and we have maybe inside one class or more than one classes, these two kinds of polymorphism, actually one is compile time polymorphism, another one is runtime polymorphism. So first we will talk about the compile time polymorphism. When we have one class, inside one class we have a same name method, same name function with different parameters or with different type of data. We are using compile time polymorphism. What is the meaning of it? The meaning is when we have same behavior with different parameters is called polymorphism, compile time polymorphism. Like inside a calculator, you have one button plus or add. This button we can use for integer type values. We can use with floating point values. So it means the same button are using with different type of data. So this is called polymorphism. More than one forms. Poly means many, Morph means forms. More than one forms for same behavior is called polymorphism. It's compile time polymorphism. The programming paradigm means design. The programming paradigm where everything is represented as an object is known as truly object-oriented programming language. Smalltalk is considered as the first truly object-oriented programming language. Object means a real-world entity such as pen, chair, table, whatever the things you have nearby you can see by your eyes or not seeing by your eyes, everything is called object. The real-time entities are called object. Object-oriented programming concepts. Object-oriented programming is a methodology or paradigm to design a program using classes and objects. So object-oriented programming we will implement with the help of class and object concept. It simplifies the software development and maintenance by providing the some concepts: number 1 class, number 2 object, number 3 inheritance, number 4 polymorphism, number 5 data encapsulation, number 6 data abstraction, number 7 message passing, number 8 dynamic binding. So these are the 8 concepts by which we are going to implement object oriented programming concepts. Number 1 class. Class is a feature which follows the process of data encapsulation because class is in the form of capsule. Why we are saying capsule? We can understand the medicine capsule is an example. In the medicine capsule, whenever you have any treatment, that time you are seeing the capsule from the outer layer. You can see the outer part of the capsule, but you are not able to see inside the capsule which type of medicine we have, what type of ingredient we have in this medicine, what is the color of this medicine. We don't know anything. So this is what? This is encapsulation. Inside the capsule we don't know anything. Outside the capsule, what is the color, which type of shape of the capsule, we can understand. So the class is same. Inside the class, what kind of behavior we have, what kind of data members we described, no one can have an idea about this. So this process is called encapsulation. The data encapsulation will be done with the help of class. The second is, so data hiding is represented with the help of class as well. Number 2 object. Object is following the process of data abstraction. How? Whenever the other part of the program require any features from the class, that time the object is only showing the particular details to the particular part of the program. Object is not showing all the details of the program. The meaning is, again we are using a data hiding in the second level. So in this level we are saying data abstraction. Number 3 inheritance. We already explained something about. Inheritance is a concept where two classes are communicating to each other. These two classes cannot communicate directly with each other. These classes should be communicate by using the object of these two classes. So these two objects are passing a message to each other. So this concept of getting a communication between two classes with the help of message passing through the two objects of two classes. So this is called inheritance. Now polymorphism. Polymorphism, I already explained it. Polymorphism, poly means many, morphs means forms. So many forms of the same behavior is called polymorphism. Dynamic binding. Dynamic binding is achieved by using a runtime polymorphism. The second type of the polymorphism is runtime polymorphism. Why we are saying dynamic binding? Dynamic means the flexible. It is flexible at runtime. So that's why we are saying dynamic binding, because we implement dynamic binding with the help of inheritance concept, polymorphism, the same behavior in two classes. So this process is called dynamic binding, because two classes can communicate only at runtime. The two classes will not communicate at compile time. So that's why we are saying runtime polymorphism or dynamic binding. Facts about the classes. So first we see the figure of this class. Inside the class you can see the data and function. So we can understand binding of data with behavior with function is called class. It's a simple definition. Now come to the facts about the classes. The class creates in our framework by using a keyword. So what is the keyword for this? Class. Class is a keyword for creating a class with our framework, with our compiler editor. Now second point is class is a user defined data type. Class is a user defined data type. We already knew about, we have some system defined data type, integer, float, character, double, bool, string, all are system defined data type. We also say primitive data types. We also say basic data types. So these are the system defined data type, and to create our own data type we use class. So class is a user defined data type. Third is a class declaration defines a new type that links code and data. So class is a declaration of new type, means the another type, because we have one class and we declare another class and we can link the code with the data. So we can extend the class from the last class, so we can implement here the inheritance concept as well. Class contains data and function. We can understand with the help of this figure as well. The class is a combination and binding of data with the functions. Okay, collection of data and functions. Data is data members, functions means member functions. So for class, data and functions are the members, data member and member functions. Another fifth number is collection of objects is also called class. For one class you can create number of objects. There is no restriction how many objects you can create for a class. So that's why collection of objects is also called class. Class is a logical entity or abstraction. The class is a logical entity. Class cannot consume any memory from the system. Okay, so that's why we say it's a logical entity. So that's why we are saying class is a logical entity. It is only logically proved. It will not consume memory from the system. How to declare a class? The general syntax of the class: number one, the class keyword, then the class name, open curly bracket. Inside the curly bracket we have some data members and member functions. These data members, we have taken here a private keyword, private access specifier. So these data members and member functions are private. Second is your choice. You can take any another access specifier, maybe public or maybe protected. Data and function as well. Again another specifier, maybe public, private, protected, as per the choice of the programmer, as per the requirement of the programmer. Then again the same, and then close object list and semicolon. This object list is optional to you. You can take here the object list or not. It doesn't matter. So we can understand here we are talking about the keywords. The keyword is class to create a class, and keyword public, private, protected for access specifier. So this is the example. In this example we can see there is a keyword class to create a class. The name of the class is student. This is user defined name. It's an identifier, so you can take any name. After that, the open curly bracket for a class. Public is an access specifier. The members, it is showing to be public. These are the three data members: ID, salary, name. These are the three data members of this class. ID is integer type, salary is a float type, name is a string type. These data members is also called field. So don't be confused with this. Field or data member or variable is the same thing. Then close curly bracket to close the class, and the semicolon to complete the class. Come to the next slide. Now access specifier. Access specifier are the three keywords: public, private, protected. Whatever the data members you have inside the class, by default all the data members are private. These data members are not accessible outside the class because the members are private. Private members are only accessible inside the class. Second is public. Public members are allowed to access outside the class. So you can access public members in another parts of the program. Protected members. Protected is access specifier is needed only when inheritance is involved. So if you do not have inheritance, protected member will be work as a private member of the class. So don't be confused with this matter. Only protected member will be accessible inside the derived classes. So there should be a parent-child relationship should be involved. Then only the protected member will be work as a protected, otherwise the protected member will work as a private. Here inside the class we have private members and we have public members. So private members are not accessible from outside the class and public members are accessible from outside the class. So this you can understand graphically. This is a class A. In this class we have some private members, some public members, and outside the class we have an object. From this object the members are public is accessible, and from the same object private members are not allowed to access. So you can say here not allowed and here allowed. So object of class A can access only public members of A. So should remember this point. The public members are accessible by the object. Private members are not accessible by the object. Now inside the class the public members can access the private members, but inside the class, not from outside the class. So inside the class public and private members are accessible to each other. Now this is the example. Here you can see the class. This is a keyword. Foo is the name of the class. Open curly bracket. Private keyword private and colon. So this is the way how to write an access specifier. Int data, private function and data. So this is a private member of the class. Public keyword public and colon. This is again second access specifier public. So we can understand here the data is private and member function is public. So member function should be accessible outside the class. This private data is not directly accessible outside the class. So to access this private part of the class, we are using a member function public, and we can see here the public part is accessing the private part and public part is using a member private. Okay, and we are using to initialize the value from this parameter of the member function, and we put the value D to the data. So this is a public function and data. These are the brackets, these are the curly braces. The first is to open the class, second is to close the class, and here semicolon to complete the class. After that come to the object. The facts about the object. First see the graphical representation. Here object student, and we have written here three data members: name, date of birth, marks. Function, three member functions: total, average and display. This is the another representation of the object. We can take directly here the name of object student, and we write here the behavior, total, average and display, the same. Okay, and we can represent it in two ways. Anyway you can use it. So now object is a real-time entity. For example, chair, car, pen, mobile, laptop, all are the object. Object is a variable of type class. So class is a user defined data type. That's why we are using a word type. Okay. Object is a variable of the type class. And you see one thing, only the variable can consume the memory. So object can consume the memory. Class never consumes the memory. Class is a logical entity. Object is a physical entity. So object has a capability to consume the memory on the system. Class never consumes the memory on the system. Should be remember this point. Object is an entity that has state and behavior. State means data, behavior means functionality. So whenever anything should have a data and the behavior is called object. Object is a runtime entity and it is created at runtime, is called an instance of the class. We are saying object is a runtime entity. Why? Object, in object oriented programming we can understand object is only having the capability to roaming around the program, to carry the feature from one part of the program to another part of the program. So we are saying it is a runtime entity. It is created at runtime. So object consumes memory at runtime and is called instance of the class, because we have two phases of our execution of the program. Number one, compile time phase. Number two, runtime phase. So object till compile time. After compile time, the object will consume the memory at runtime, and this memory consumption only for a small time duration. only for milliseconds. So that's why we are saying instant, because the small time duration is called instant. So memory consumed by the object at runtime for a milliseconds, that's why we are calling the object is an instance of the class. So don't be confused with this word instance, because object is also called instance but at runtime. So should be technical term here to be remembering. The instance of the class at runtime is a object. Okay, all the members of the class can be accessed through object. We know very well all the members from the class, whatever the data members, whatever the member functions, are only allowed to be accessed throughout the program with the help of object only, because object is only having a power to carry the feature from one part of the program to another part of the program. Come to the next. General syntax of writing an object. First, the type name means class name. Second is a variable name, means object name. So type name is a class name, variable name is a object name, or a list of objects you can keep here. So to create object of student class using S1 as the reference variable, so here first is a type name, means class name. The class name is student. S1 is the name of the variable. So this is the object. S1 is a variable of the class type. So object, creating an object of student class. In this example, student is a type, S1 is a reference variable that refers to the instance of the student class. So now in this example, we can see example of class has two fields, ID and name. It creates instance of the class, initializes the object and prints the object value. The first is we are taking the library hash include IO input output stream. Using namespace std is a standard namespace, is a root namespace of C++. Class student is a user defined data type, and we use a keyword class to create a class student. Inside the class we have a public access specifier to make the data members public or to make the data members visible outside the class. So int id is a data member of integer type, name is a data member of string type. Close the class. So student class has been closed. Now the main body, the main method, main function. This main function is very important for our program. Why? Because main is a entry point of the program. Main is only called by the system and defined by the user. Without using a main body, our program never be executes. Even a single statement never be execute without the main body. Whatever you have 100 lines of code in your program, but you do not have main body, so your program will not be executed, because your compiler just search for the main. Whenever it finds the main, then it will start to execute the program and it will access the features from the classes and other parts of the program to be execute the members of the main method. So here int main means the return type of the main function is integer. No parameters is a default parameters. Then the main open bracket. Now student S1 is a student class and the object is S1, and we access the data members of the student class. The data member is ID and name. So we initialize the value to the ID and we initialize the value to the name. How can we initialize it? We can initialize by the help of s1.id assignment operator and is an integer type value. So we have stored the value of integer type to the member ID. So this is not like that it is storing inside the main. No, it is storing inside the data member we have declared of class. Okay, so we are storing the value to this ID data member. Again the name the same, we are putting the value to the name variable and this value is coming to the data member of the student class name. Here for string type value we use double quotes. So for character we use single quotes, and for numeric values we are not going to use any quotation marks. So you should remember it is a string type, that's why we have used here double quotes. So this is the assignment operator to initialize the value of string type to the name variable. and always the value to be assigned from right to left. So should we remember this point? Assignment operator is always having associativity from right to left. Cout is a object to display the value on the screen, on the display screen. So cout we are using here, and s1.id, so we are accessing the value from the ID member of the student class. So s1.id, it will access the ID member from the student class. Whatever the value you stored here, this value will be directly accessible here. The same for the name. Whatever the value you stored here, this value directly come from the name data member from the student class. So we receive the value for ID and we receive the value for the name. Return 0, it will return the value 0 to the compiler, to the operating system, because here we are using return type integer, so it will return an integer type value. So then close the main body. Here we can see the output. So whatever the value we initialized, the same value we use as the output. So we receive the value in the output 201 and M. Here in this example of C++ class, where we initializing and displaying object through method, we are using here two methods and two data members. First we see the class student and the same data members in ID and string name. We have here two member functions, insert and display. Insert is to initialize the value to the data members of the class. Display to display the values to the display screen. So these two functions we are using inside the class student. All the members, whatever the data members, whatever the member functions, all the members are public. So all the members are accessible outside the class. So here we can see here, with the help of member function insert, we are initializing the data members of the class. The data member is ID and the name. These data members should be at the left hand side of the assignment operator. You should remember this point. Okay, and these values, these are the values, because these values we will keep from the main body. So that's why these are the values. This value we are going to initialize to the data member ID of the student class, and this value n we are giving to the data member name of the student class. So these two values we initialize with the help of these values we are using as a parameter to the insert function. Second function is display. The display function, as I told you, we are using to display the output on the screen. So what is the output for us? Cout is an object be using to display the output on the screen, and ID, this is the space, and the name. These two values we are having from the data members of the class. So ID, whatever we stored here, name, whatever we stored here, these values coming from to the display method, and the output we will receive from this method. Then close the class. Come to the main body. To execute this class we need a main body. So first we create an object of the main body, student s1, student s2. After that s1.insert, we just check the parameters of the insert function. The insert function, the first parameter integer type, second parameter is string type. So you should keep the first value integer type and second value string type. So we have given the values here as per the parameter we passed in the student class. So for the method insert, so the same parameters we used here. Then s2 insert, the second value for the object s2, the first value for the object s1. Then s1.display, so the value coming from the value stored for student 1, and s2.display, the values coming from the data members for the second student S2, return 0 and close the main body. So here the first value 201 Ahmad we receive here, and second value 202 Muhammad we receive here. You can see here the same function, the insert we are using for student S1 and the same function we are using for the student S2. This is called reusability of the same code. So the function is having a wonderful feature of reusability of the same source code. If you are not using function here, you need to write the same source code again and again. So here with the help of this activity, we are just writing one time the code and we use number of times. You can take 3 students, you can take 100 students. The code is same. So it is a wonderful feature, the functions we use to achieve the reusability concept in our program. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kindly share, subscribe and comments on my channel. Thank you. Thank you so much.